Once home to some of the most opulent mansions ever built in the United States, Manhattan today is a beacon of vertical living. While apartments are the most common choice of abode, there are penthouses that fetch tens of millions of dollars. But who started this trend? Why did New York build up instead of out? And what happened to the very first penthouse ever built? Hi everyone, Ken here. Today we are answering all of these questions as we explore this penthouse. In 1925, the George Fuller Construction Company embarked on a project that would forever change the landscape of Fifth Avenue and the concept of urban living, the creation of a 14-story apartment house at 1107 Fifth Avenue. This venture, however, hinged on a pivotal agreement with serial heiress Marjorie Merriweather Post, the owner of the Burden mansion that occupied the site. By this time, Manhattan had shifted from a land of palatial limestone mansions to office buildings. As the city grew exponentially, the land that sat below these grand estates became too valuable for any one family to occupy. The demand to live in the city was simply too high to turn people away for the suburbs. Developers began purchasing grand Gilded Age mansions and tearing them down to build high-rises, and caught up in the middle of all of it was America's wealthiest woman, Marjorie Merriweather Post. Marjorie, a woman of exquisite taste and a penchant for grandeur, was not one to relinquish her beloved mansion easily. She struck a deal with Fuller, her approval for the project in exchange for a palatial residence atop the new building, a novel concept which had never been done before. Her demands were precise and lavish, a recreation of her 54-room mansion spread across the top 3 floors, complete with a private porte-cochere and an exclusive lobby, ensuring the privacy and luxury that she was accustomed to. Unbeknownst to Fuller, Marjorie's decision was also influenced by her growing frustration with the incessant street noise and fumes outside her mansion. While she negotiated the construction of her urban castle in the sky, Marjorie and her husband were also building the Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, a testament to their opulent lifestyle. The penthouse, completed in 1927, was a marvel of its time. It boasted a wraparound terrace on the highest floor, 12 wood-burning fireplaces, 17 bathrooms, and 2 kitchens spread across 54 rooms. Let's begin exploring the penthouse by entering Marjorie's private ground-level lobby, where her own concierge would open the doors for her. In the winter months, she would unload her coat by the fireplace and make her way over to her own private elevator. The elevator was finished out with gilded wall panels, allowing her to travel to her penthouse in style. Once she made it to the top of the building, her full-time staff would swing open the mirrored doors to the left of the grand staircase, welcoming her into the foyer. Though if she had friends visiting, they would make their way from a separate elevator lobby through the smaller door below the marble staircase. The massive foyer was decorated with antiques from her previous mansion, though all the furnishings could be cleared out and the space used as a ballroom. Following the rounded walls with fluted pilasters framing antique European tapestries, we will find the entrances to both the men's and women's cloakrooms, where the butler would check guests' coats and bags. At the end of the night, guests would present a bronze ticket to the butler to have him retrieve their belongings. This over-the-top and lavish lifestyle continues into the drawing room. To gain a better sense of the space and the parties that were hosted here, we can see Marjorie's ball gown spilling over a settee, making a statement to her guests. The drawing room was finished out with crystal chandeliers, wood paneling, and windows that looked out all over New York City. Across the foyer from the drawing room, the dining room played host to some of the most exclusive dinner parties ever known by Manhattan. Not only was it finished out with rich wood paneling that had been salvaged from a European manor house, the fireplace and mantel had been carefully removed from her former mansion and reassembled in their entirety. For more casual meals, Marjorie would wind her way behind closed doors. This brings us to a hallway, seldom seen by guests, which connects us to the breakfast room. The breakfast room was said to be Marjorie's favorite room in the house, with a large bay window crafted from bronze and leaded glass looking out over flowers dotting the New York skyline. Another room offering incredible views was the library looking west over Central Park. Similarly to the dining room, the library had been rebuilt in its entirety from the library in her former mansion. It was decorated with portraits of significant historical figures with Americana strewn about the room. Aside from centuries-old paintings, the portrait above the fireplace was Marjorie's favorite. It depicted her 2 daughters and their cherished family dogs. We can now begin making our way upstairs, noting the arrangement of the penthouse's second level with live-in staff occupying nearly 1/4 of the space. Arriving at the second-floor stair landing, sunlight pours in through a massive skylight overhead. We can peek into one of the many decadent guest rooms furnished and decorated with only the most fashionable choices of the day. Next we'll peer into Marjorie's husband's bedroom, where Mr. E.F. Hutton would sleep separately from his wife as was customary for the time. The largest and most opulent room of all was of course reserved for Marjorie herself. Its windows looked directly over Central Park, opening onto private terraces where she could enjoy the views by herself. Her private ensuite had been mostly reassembled from her previous mansion and included marble with striking violet veins running through it. And in her dressing room, we can imagine her talking on the phone while her maid made sure Marjorie's hair and makeup were perfect before going out. As we venture up to the third floor of the penthouse, we find that it is mostly reserved for their children. Their playroom opened onto a terrace with a private playground where the kids could swing above Fifth Avenue. Marjorie's penthouse was more than a home, it was a symbol of her status and influence. As the owner of General Foods Corporation and the wealthiest woman in the United States, she led a life marked by luxury and philanthropy. Her residences, including the Hillwood Estate in Washington, D.C., and Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, reflected her grand taste and love for the finer things in life. Marjorie's philanthropic efforts were as grand as her lifestyle. She funded a U.S. Army hospital in France during World War I, supported the Salvation Army during the Great Depression, and contributed significantly to the arts and education. Her legacy extends beyond her business achievements to her generous support of cultural and humanitarian causes. The story of Marjorie Merriweather Post in her iconic penthouse is a narrative of ambition, elegance, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. Her residence at 1107 Fifth Avenue was not just New York's first penthouse, it was a beacon of luxury and a testament to a woman who lived life on her own terms, leaving an unforgettable mark on the city as the first person to live in a penthouse. What are your thoughts? Would you ever want to live in a penthouse? Let me know why or why not down below in the comment section, and while you're there, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.